Time now on Sky Sports Radio for Going Greyhounds for your daily update of the latest news and tips.
It is 16 to 11, and from Greyhound Racing New South Wales, Mick Cowley with us. Morning, Mick.
Good morning, Cosy. Not too bad being inside on a day like today with this weather.
Yeah, now you're joined today. You got a guest who's done absolutely almost everything in the greyhound industry over a long career.
Mate, very true, very true. We're lucky to be joined today by someone, as you mentioned, Cosy. He's pretty much experienced it all, and he's having a little bit of good fortune at the moment as a trainer. Greg Hoare joins us. Greg, thanks for joining us this morning, mate.
My pleasure, mate.
Mate, as I mentioned, you're having a little bit of luck at the moment, particularly with a dog called Vintage Dancer that's in Adapto tonight.
Yeah, he's going great guns at the moment. I'm exceeded my expectations, actually, yes.
Mate, I noticed you got him originally from Tasmania. He was racing down in Tasmania, but since he's come up here, his form reads outstanding. I think it's 31 starts and 15 wins and 10 placings for you.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, 16 wins, I think, now. But, yeah, he has got two of them, him and his brother. His brother was probably a little quicker. He'd won 5 of his last 6 before he was sold to New Zealand. But, yeah, I'm very happy with the results from both, and I'm glad I've taken them. Only by chance I got them. I were offered to Denise Warren. She was full up, and she asked me if I was interested. So I'm indebted to Denise for giving me the opportunity.
Mate, her misfortune is your good fortune. That's the way it works out in this game.
Exactly right, mate.
Mate, he's tonight drawn box 3 in race 8. What are your thoughts and hopes over the 297?
Yeah, he hasn't been out of place. He's only had the 3 starts, but 3 seems to be his lucky box. So if he can step with him, I think he'll give a bold show.
Mate, I mentioned as we came on with Cosy that you've kind of done quite a bit in this industry. Mate, how did you get started in greyhound racing?
When my next door neighbour had dogs when I was a kid, and sort of just got interested in them. I just loved the animal itself, and I was about 10 or 11 years old then, and sort of had a dog ever since, basically, except when I was in a official capacity where I couldn't train for a few years.
Mate, and growing up, that was down in Albury?
Yeah, in Albury. Ron Bovis was my old mentor down there, and yeah, it was great times back then in the Riverina back in the 70s and 80s.
Mate, that area does seem to have spawned quite a few horse and dog trainers that have gone on to had a lot of success in the industry.
Yeah, even in the cricketing world.
Cricketing and football, you name it.
Yep, exactly.
Mate, you mentioned the admin side of things. How did you first get into that? Was that at Bathurst?
Yeah, I was actually, it was probably a bit by luck, actually. I had a car accident and I was a fencing contractor at the time. I was crippled up for a few months and was told not to go back to the heavy labour, so the opportunity came up at Bathurst to be the secretary. I put in for it, and luckily I got it, and I sort of went from there.
Mate, how long were you at Bathurst for? Quite a while.
I was there for 11 years, yeah, and during that time we was only a non-tab track when I went there, and we were lucky enough to have a progressive committee, and the opportunities arose here and there, and we ended up putting for lighting and the loan conversion of the track, and that all succeeded, and we got tab racing after that, and sort of went from strength to strength then.
Well, it certainly has. It's now one of the great tracks that we obviously use for a lot of feature events, including $1 Million Chase. It always is in the $1 Million Chase and kicked off the series a couple of years ago. So I'm sure you're very proud of the way the club's progressed since your time there. Yeah,
I have. Yeah, it's been one of the highlights of my life, I suppose. I could probably look back and say I achieved something when I go.
Mate, where did you end up after Bathurst?
I actually took up employment with Greyhound Racing New South Wales as chief grader, which I was there for 3 years. I moved to New Zealand for a couple of years, and then I went back to GNSW as a steward for 2 years. And then ended up back in New Zealand for a couple of years after that again. Now I'm back here, so I've been on the move the last 10 or 12 years.
Mate, it must be an interesting one to. You quite often hear participants, complaining about this, that, the grading, stewarding. That's also. I guess you've been on the other side of the fence, so you can kind of relate a little bit.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's funny. One of the things I've said after is everybody should do a stint in both sides of the fence, because then you get a true understanding of the intricacies of the game. It's very interesting, and I can see where everybody comes from whenever they talk about something.
Mate, you mentioned New Zealand. You went over there. What exactly did you do over there while you were there?
I was a curator at the Cambridge track for 3 years, and then I worked for one of the leading breeders over there, Gary Harding, just looking after pups and breaking in and assisting Karen while she was a leading trainer. One of the leading trainers in my North Island over there for a couple of years. It's a great time.
And then the decision to come back, any particular reason? Just wanted to get back?
More or less kids, mate. I've had a daughter who was due to have a baby and she was getting married, so and I've got another son here, so yeah, and I've got my dad here too, and he's not real well, so yeah, that was basically what spurred me to come back.
Mate, did you head back to Goulburn? Because you're obviously at Goulburn now, and you're working as a track curator. Is that where you landed, or did you land somewhere else before?
No, pretty well. I actually came over for the daughter's wedding, and just happened to call into the Goulburn track, and I was speaking to Patrick Day, the secretary there, and he said, "Look, we're looking for someone to do the track. Would you be interested?" And so sort of. That was it. I made the decision to take up that employment. That's when I moved back. So pretty well slotted straight into the job.
Mate, how many dogs you got in the kennel?
8 at the moment.
Okay, so enough anyway.
Yeah. Probably a couple too many, to be honest with you.
Mate, and would Vintage Dancer be the pick of them?
Yeah, definitely at the moment. Yeah, I've got a couple of pups not far off racing. One of them might be okay. But yeah, he's definitely. I had a bitch called Soaring Hawk I bought from Queensland. I had raced her in New Zealand. I brought her back, and she retired at Christmas time. But she won 14 races last year, including a couple at Winnie. So I've been a bit lucky since I come back.
Mate, as you said, you've been here a fair while. Is there one that would be the best, and one race that might stand out?
Been lucky. I've had never had a champion, but always had a handy dog. Probably the dog responsible for me coming to Sydney originally was when I was a kid, was Hypo's Lass. She was a real good stayer, and she went on state final of the national distance representing New South Wales and Adelaide at the time. So that was probably one of the highlights. I did win a New Zealand Derby as well when I was in New Zealand with a dog called Spitfire Austie. Owned here by Lynn White down in the Riverina. Yep. So they're probably the main highlights.
Mate, Hypo's Lass, that brings me to the nickname. You've always been called Hypo. Tell us a bit of details around that.
Ronnie Davis, who was my mentor, he used to call me all sorts of silly names when I was helping him out around the kennels, and one day he just happened to be giving the dog a shot of B12, and I said, "What's that?" And he said, "It's the hypodermic." He said, "I'm going to call you hypodermic from now on," and he just shortened it to Hypo, and it's stuck. I think 95% of people in the game know me as Hypo.
Mate, so it's nothing to do with your laid-back, laconic demeanour or anything like that. That's the real story behind it.
That's it, mate. Simple as that. Yeah, that's virtually everybody that ever helped him in the game has got a nickname. I guarantee most of those people don't know their real name. Just one of those things. He had a habit of it.
Mate, good to hear. How's that Goulburn track standing up with the extra racing through this period? It's all good?
Yeah, going great, mate. We've had about 20 mil of rain since yesterday morning. I've just been over there checking on it, and we could race today at say 1 at the moment. So I don't stand up real good. We've been trialling in the interim as well, which we normally don't have trial sessions. There's been so much demand for a lot of dogs missing out on runs at the moment.
It's a very much a unique, unprecedented time. I'd imagine a lot of participants down there and through all regions are finding it tough. But I guess clubs like yourself are trying to look after everyone they can.
Yeah, the club has been, and definitely tough times for everybody, but we'll get through it and come out better on the other side.
Right. Absolutely right, mate. Well, best of luck tonight with Vintage Dancer at Dapto, and mate, good luck with the Goulburn Club and their race meeting throughout all this. And I appreciate you coming on this morning and telling your story, mate.
It's a pleasure, mate, and thanks very much.
All good. Cosy, there he was, Greg Hypo Hoare. Now at least we know why they call him Hypo. He's certainly had an interesting life in greyhound racing.
It's funny how nicknames stick, isn't it?
Mate, very much so. Cosy.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, some of the best of the blokes, like the Wharfies and those, they come up with some beauties. There was a bloke they used to call the London Fog. The reason was he'd never left. And another one they called the Judge. He's always sitting on a case. In other words, he couldn't get up and work. Very clever, some people, to come up with nicknames, I tell you. Excellent. Hey, interesting, you talk about the carnivals. Now, the Warrnambool Cup, we've got the Warrnambool Gallops Carnival. That's been shortened back to 2 days.
Yep.
What's happening with the Warrnambool Cup heats for the Greyhounds?
Mate, they're actually on this afternoon, Cosy. It's Victoria is still staging a few of their feature races and so forth. Obviously there's restrictions around everyone at the moment. Interstate dogs aren't able to go. They have to be transferred into local trainers to compete in Victorian racing in this instance. But their cup heats are on today, and they've got 6 pretty good races. It's certainly well worth watching if you're a greyhound fan. At the opening race, the opening heat, a dog called Crimson Vixen is probably the standout in that. The second heat, Glenn Rounds, is who we actually saw up here with Kurt Lee, $1 Million Chase last year. He's got a good team at the moment. A smart sprinter called Aston Stealth is in Heat 2, along with the Dailies dog Jax Bale. Heat 3 it's probably the pick of the heats. Is a dog called Jim Zardashian, boom sprinter in Victoria at the moment, broke the Bendigo track record last week. It's going to clash with a dog that we all know up here, Hardstyle Rico, that was in the Derby series up here. A dog called Tigalong Tonk won the Easter Gift Group 3 event a few weeks back. It's in heat, in the next heat. And Simon Told Helen, who we all know, was one of the favourites for that Derby, but unfortunately got bitten by a spider in the lead up to it. It's been over and won the Perth Cup, the heat in the final of the Perth Cup, the Group 1 event at Cannington last month. It's drawn the 1 and it'll be very hard to beat in its race. There's also a dog in that we should watch too called Zambora Brocky. Jason Thompson's dogs won 10 out of 14, very, very handy. So that'll be a good clash in itself. And then the last heat, the standout's probably Simon Told Helen's Kennel Mate, a dog called Snags Mackenzie. It'll go around favourite. As I said, Cosy, there'll be 6 very good heats there this afternoon, and it's well worth watching. It's in the twilight zone, so I encourage people to have a look and perhaps have a bet and hopefully we can get some money.
Now we've got other great racing here in New South Wales today as well.
Mate, we do. We've always got great racing here. The Super Series and the Maiden Series kicks off tonight. That series will be run over the next month with heats and finals around New South Wales tracks, and that kicks off tonight at Dubbo. They've got 3 heats of the Super Series, 4 heats of the Maiden. Some quality dogs engaged in that Super Series, so that's well worth watching as well.